let's jump right in. What exactly happens when Pete Hegseth, Kosh Patel, and Brett Kavanaugh walk into a bar? I know it sounds like the punchline to a very specific Washington, D.C. insider joke. But no, it was actually the setup for a massively talked about, super high energy SNL cold open that literally took over late night TV. Today, we're going to dive into exactly how they took real-time political chaos and spun it into rapid-fire satire. So, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on this Saturday Night Live Season 51 penultimate episode highlights. This was the May 9th, 2026 Mother's Day broadcast, and we're covering the whole shebang, the milestones, the music, and the mechanics of this crazy episode. And who better to anchor the night than Academy Award winner Matt Damon? Honestly, when you look at his hosting history, it is wild. He first hosted way back in 2002 for season 28. Then, a whole 16 years later, he comes back in 2018 for season 44. And now, boom, 2026, he's back for a third time in season 51, just before his new Christopher Nolan movie hits theaters. It really just goes to show Damon is the kind of host who only steps into Studio 8H when there's major energy in the room and he's ready to just go all in on the self-deprecating comedy.
All right, moving into Section 1, a boozy political cold open. Now, SNL is famous for its rapid response satire, right? And this opening scene, well, critics are already calling it one of the sharpest of the season. Picture this. The writers set us up in a sneaky bar in Georgetown. You know, a quiet little spot where DC power players can just hide from their colleagues. And the casting here was absolutely spot on. You've got Colin Jost stepping out from the Weekend Update desk to play Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Then, out of nowhere, this massive surprise cameo, Aziz Ansari debuting his impression of FBI Director Kosh Patel. And finally, crashing the party in full judicial robes, Matt Damon reprising his famous 2018 role as Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Impartially speaking, it's just fascinating to watch how the sketch uses these real-world figures to create this wild frat party vibe. They're just bonding over their recent controversial headlines with all this boozy banter. Like at one point, Damon orders drinks, and Kenan Thompson, playing the bartender, slides them over and calls it a 6-3 decision. Just a really clever, playful nod to the Supreme Court's current makeup.
But the real magic is in how they use targeted punchlines to drive the satire. Aziz Ansari's entrance alone was gold. He bursts in yelling, "Does this bar take Kosh?" And the studio audience just lost it. His character whips out a custom bottle of FBI bourbon leading heavily into the headlines surrounding Patel right now. And he delivers this killer viral line, "I'm the first Indian person to suck at their job." He even jokes that he's living the American dream because he gets to be the first in his family to go to college parties, years after he actually graduated. It's a perfect example of how the writers neutrally reflect real-world controversies, but twist them through this hugely exaggerated comedic lens. And then the sketch just escalates. Matt Damon, who, let's be real, always takes his Kavanaugh impression to a frantic level 15, decides to share a top-secret plan with his drinking buddies. He gets super giddy and announces they're going to let the president serve an unconstitutional third term. And when they ask him, "Wait, is that legal?" Damon drops the ultimate punchline. He claims they found the original Constitution, and at the very end, it just says, "Psych." It is completely absurd, but that's the genius of it. The show uses that sheer absurdity to comment on the political climate without actually taking a direct political stance. They just let the chaotic energy do all the talking. And chaotic it was. To wrap up the cold open, the whole thing devolves into absolute intentional madness. They do a final round of drinks. We're talking a whiskey, a vodka, a lager, and a cider drink. And the three of them just start jumping up and down like crazy, staring right into the camera. And they start belting out Chumbawamba's 1997 anthem, Tub Thumping. You know, the I get knocked down, but I get up again song. It's such a hilariously specific musical choice by the writers, and it totally nailed that defiant frat boy resilience they were trying to parody. But talk about tonal whiplash. We literally went from this table-pounding, chaotic Chumbawamba frat energy straight into our next segment, which is a smart, earnest, deeply emotional synthesis of ethereal indie folk music. That sharp pivot, that is exactly how SNL keeps both the live studio audience and us at home completely on our toes. Which brings us right into Section 2, Noah Kahan takes the stage. So, shifting gears to the musical side of things, Vermont singer-songwriter Noah Kahan brought a totally different atmosphere to Studio 8H. This was his second appearance since his big debut back in December 2023, and his setlist was carefully curated to show off his brand new fourth studio album. He kicked things off with the title track, The Great Divide. Critics have been raving about this one, saying it beautifully blends Bon Iver's falsetto with Zach Bryan's storytelling. Later on in the broadcast, he came back out to perform Doors, which is the 77-minute album standout he co-wrote with Sam Westhoff. What's really cool to take away from this is how a musical guest uses the SNL platform. It's not just about playing a song, it's about firmly cementing their new artistic era right in front of a massive live television audience. And you know what's really interesting? Noah Kahan completely owns his musical identity. A lot of critics out there have tried to pigeonhole his style with that pejorative stomp, clap, hey label, that throwback 2010s millennial folk sound. But Kahan doesn't run from it at all. He defends it fiercely. When people compare him to Mumford & Sons, he literally says, I love Mumford & Sons. Thank you for the compliment. He knows his songwriting relies on genuine pop sensibilities and really well-constructed bridges. That kind of earnest, heart-on-your-sleeve energy was such a fantastic grounding contrast to the super cynical political satire we just watched earlier in the night. All right, moving right along to Section 3, Wickline's 100th sketch. Let's take a quick look behind the scenes, because SNL is an absolute pressure cooker, and survival there is basically measured in screen time and sketch counts. And during this episode, specifically in the Godzilla movie sketch, featured player Jane Wickline officially logged her 100th sketch on the show. Reaching the century mark on live television, that is huge. It's a total validation of a comedian's utility and their real connection with the audience. Let's just map out her journey really quickly because it's been a rapid ascent. She only just joined the cast in September 2024 for season 50. At first, she was mostly known for these quirky solo musical appearances on Weekend Update, but she quickly proved how versatile she is. By December 2024, she struck absolute viral gold with a musical pre-tape called Cousin Planet. And here we are, May 2026, and she's a reliable staple hitting sketch number 100. It really goes to show how modern performers leverage digital-friendly pre-tapes and Weekend Update features to build a really solid foundation for live sketch longevity. Speaking of live sketches, beyond the cold open and the milestones, the rest of the night was just rapid-fire comedy. Matt Damon proved he can do literally anything across the board. We had the substitute teacher's goodbye that completely devolved into a dance party. We had super wordy, fast-paced sketches like Auctioneers. They absolutely nailed a Mother's Day parody with the Mom movie trailer. Oh, and there was this notable sketch called Tough Guys that felt like a total throwback to a much older, sillier era of SNL writing. That kind of constant variety is exactly what keeps a 90-minute format from ever feeling stagnant. And finally, Section 4, the Season 51 finale. So, we had politics, we had milestones, we had folk music, but SNL always builds toward a massive conclusion before its summer hiatus. On May 16th, Studio 8H is bringing in absolute comedy and music royalty. Will Ferrell is coming back to host for his 6th time, right as his new Netflix series drops, and sharing the stage with him, the legendary Paul McCartney, stepping up for his 5th appearance as a musical guest. I mean, wow. That is a heavyweight lineup designed to make sure season 51 goes out with an undeniable bang. Which leaves us with one final thought to wrap up this explainer. Just think about it. In just the second to last week, we got surprise cameos from Aziz Ansari, viral milestones, and wildly high-energy political satire. So what kind of crazy surprises do you think the season 51 closer is going to pull off with absolute comedy and music royalty taking the stage? I mean, how are they going to top a Chumbawamba sing-along? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this breakdown. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next explainer.